It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word.
We on a mission and that's bringing y'all the truth. You know the problem, but we get into the root. The devil watching, yeah, he always on pursuit. But Jesus is our rock, so we shall not be moved. We on a winning team, so we can't lose. We say facts, cause we hitting y'all with proof. Started from the bottom, now we standing on the roof. As God as our witness, we gon' make it to the moon. When you want the truth, the world be hiding it. This the real word, we providing it. We got Acee, BK, Truth, Rick Star, and we plan to make a movie like it's Pixar. We came a long way from the plantation. We just tryna save your souls from damnation. So if you down with the message, tune in every week. It will lead you to the message that you seek.
It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word.
Welcome to the Real Word Season 7, Episode 15. Shout out to everybody that's been watching. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting. Shout out to everybody that has helped us to get this far so far. Shout out to everybody that has sponsored our turkey drive so far for this year. This will be our 5th annual turkey drive. So shout out to everybody that's donated so far. If you want to donate, that's $ therealwordinc. That's the $ therealwordinc, or go to www.therealwordministriesinc.org. That's therealwordministriesinc.org. Shout out to everybody that follows us on Facebook. That's the Real Word Ministries on Facebook. The Real Word Ministries on Facebook, or facebook.com/the Real Word 7, like Mike Vick. Or you can catch us on the Brick Network every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 noon, 4 p.m. and 1 a.m. We also on Apple, Spotify, and Soundcloud, and Pandora as the Real Word Podcast. That's the Real Word Podcast. I'm here with my co-host. Introduce yourself.
Greg knows the one and only. Yeah, I'm in the building. Add me on Instagram, Irving11. If ain't no 11, you know I got my water. At my business page, Zero Enterprise with the 0 at the end. You know, I got merchandise coming out this month, so stay tuned. It's gonna be hot.
Alright. And you see we got a lot of new faces in the building today, a lot of new faces, so introduce yourself. We start off with you, go ahead.
How's it going? My name is Steve. I'm a student. I'm here to learn. That's how I am. All
right. And to the left of me, I got a very familiar face, but I'll let him introduce himself. Introduce yourself, brother.
Peace and blessings. Shanduke McPhatter, CEO and founder of GMACC Inc., which is Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes, and your current independent candidate for Brooklyn Borough President. Vote tomorrow, November 2nd, for me. Yeah, sis.
All right.
What's up? Peppy in the building, Promise of Greatness. I'm glad to be here.
Alright, we got my brother here.
What's happening? My name is Dean Martin, aka Malachi Royale. I'm the chief of the streets of GMACC Incorporated.
All right. And I thank everybody for being here today. I thank everybody that's watching live on Facebook, or everybody that's watching on Instagram, on YouTube, or on the Brick Network. So, as my brother Shanduke McPhatter said, he said tomorrow is voting day. So explain to them why they should vote for you.
Oh man, they not paying attention then. So, it's election day tomorrow. It's a major election happening in our city. Our people are not paying enough attention to what's going on. We're paying attention to the issues in the community, but they're not paying attention to who's making these decisions. And it's time for us to change that. Right? It's time for us to be in the conversations that we're not a part of. We sitting at this table together, but there's tables where decisions are being made without us, and we're never at those tables. So I got tired of not being at that table to help make decisions for my community. So tomorrow is November 2nd, election day. We got a new mayor that's coming to our city, right? So we want to make sure that we vote for the right mayor. Our mayor is our current borough. Our mayor-elect, Democratic-elect, Eric Adams, the current borough president of Brooklyn. For those that don't know, he's leaving his seat as borough president to become the mayor. So that means you have a seat that is open in Brooklyn for the borough president, and that's the seat that I'm running for. Right? So it's important for people to understand what that seat is. So that person who sits in that seat helps advocate for the needs of the borough. Right? That person deals with community boards, dealing with the elected officials, dealing with ULURP. ULURP is the if you don't understand, I want to give people things that they don't understand, but it's people who are making decisions on what businesses are coming in our community, right? We see no community centers, but we see a lot of businesses coming, and we're upset about it, but we're never part of that conversation. The borough president is part of those conversations, and I'm here to change that and be part of community development. So we need people to vote. We need people to come out who don't want to vote because they see politicians are the same people over and over again. I want people to look into my past, see who I am, see what I do in my community, and vote based off of that. Don't base off of a party. I'm independent. So often our people going down, they believe, and I'm a Democrat. So I'm just going to vote down the line. I'm just going to vote Democrat because that's what I'm told I'm supposed to do. Can't do that. You keep voting for somebody who you don't even know, who's doing nothing but hurting our community. So we need people to wake up, pay attention to the candidates, look at them before you go to the polls, pay attention to their history, look them up. You don't know, see something about them that you don't understand, look into the reason why they're into politics. Right? People into politics for business, not to change the community. So it's important that you pay attention to your candidates.
So I'm kind of familiar with politics, but not really. I give people my background. My undergrad was in pre-law, so I'm minded in government and politics. I worked on the political campaign for Mark Levine when he ran for city council, and then I've worked with Eric Adams. I've worked with Mayor de Blasio when the Link program first came out, which became City Fest, the housing voucher. I worked with the Department of Homeless Service with Home Base, homeless prevention for people facing housing arrears. And I've worked in MICA shelters funded by Department of Homeless Service. So I got some small understanding of how the system works. From my understanding, you're right. Like a lot of people, majority of people do go into politics for business, as in like it's the easiest way. As in like we know there's a history on it, like the mob. Like the mob, for example, they would give the politicians the muscle and the money. Once they get into office, they would give them the contracts. They would give them the cutback off the contracts. And they would not only have the contracts to construct different parts of New York, like the West Side Highway, for example, they also had the contracts to repair it. So a lot of those companies that you see is repairing the grounds, and in the 5 boroughs, they're privately owned. And we know that the mafia...
And it's still happening.
Exactly.
It's not changing.
And then we look at the fire department, perfect example. Garbage sanitation, another perfect example. And these is... And I was talking to somebody about it yesterday. When they sat at that table, like how we sit at the table when they made the decisions, who gets what, we weren't there. And if we were there, the table was on top of our heads. And we had no say. So we didn't get a cut of none of that. Now, we're now entering into politics, you know, with Obama. I'll use Obama as an example because he reached the highest office. And then, you know, we had Colin Powell that recently died. You know, he was Secretary of State. And then Eric Adams, he was black, you know, he was Brooklyn Borough President, and now he's running for mayor. So we see different people that look like us. Now, sometimes we choose people that look like us and they let us down. So my next question to you is, what would make you different from them? Because sometimes, just like how you said, people vote straight Democrat, some people vote straight black. Like, people didn't care about what Obama did for us as long as he was just black. We just pushed him into office. It's now that we're looking back at, damn, like, what did he really do for us besides, like, the symbolic victory?
Right.
But we know all the groups that got benefits under Obama, mostly the LGBTQ LMNOP, they got the most out of that till this day. And us as people of color, we didn't really get much. So what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, for me, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Right? I never lived nowhere else except Atlanta with my sister when I got out of jail, right? But I'm from Brooklyn, been in the streets my whole life. And that's all I know. I don't know how to be nothing else than being part of the community. And my goal is to change anything I touch in life, right? So I came out and I changed things through my organization, GMACC. That's proof of what I'm capable of doing, right? And this is what I tell people, because we had a conversation today with an older woman. You know, some of our people are stubborn. And, you know, I'm out there introducing people to who I am that don't know me, because they're not going to talk about me because I'm an independent candidate. I'm fighting against a machine. You're right. Right? So, you know, so tell me what you're going to do. What you going to do for us when you get there? So what do you mean? I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing on a different level.
Yeah,
right?
Bigger level.
Right. I don't want to care what you did. Listen to what I'm saying. Right? I want to hear what you asking me. What I'm trying to show you here. Look, this is here. Yeah, this is what I'm doing now. I'm not even talking about what I did. If you were talking about what I did, then I wouldn't be running for office, because what I did was I was running the streets, hustling, trying to survive. What I'm doing, right, is I'm making changes in my community right now. Here's the proof. You can look me up. Here's everything I'm telling you. I'm just gonna keep being that same person that I am right now. But the difference is I have a different platform to push for my community, right? I'm not going to ever change who I am, because everybody's around me tell you I'm the same person. So people get into politics because you look at their history, they're setting themselves up for that. It's a business like anything else for people. But what I did was I saw issues and said, you know what? I could do that job better than some people who think they could do that job, and I want to show my people how that can be done, right? And the only way you do that is getting in a space where you make it happen and show and improve. But I'm not going to make promises about what I'm going to do for somebody, right? I'm going to say I'm going to do, here are my goals. My goal is enhance public safety, youth development, right? Youth engagement initiatives. My thing is community development, getting us involved in the community boards, right? Being part of the real conversations. That's what I'm talking about. People who got issues, being able to voice their issues. The borough president advocates for the people, right? Yeah. So giving the people a voice and pushing their issues forward is something that I have no problem doing, because I do it every day.
So do you feel like they use your past against you?
Yeah, of course, right? Well, wouldn't they? That's my past is what I've come out with when I came out of jail. I've never ran from that, right? I don't. See, that's what they want us to do. They want our parents afraid of us, right? So they say, oh, he's a gang member, right? I was 16 on Rikers Island in 1994. Right? We got kids now that are turning blood now and crip now on Rikers Island, folk now, right? No, and something we talking about happened to me when I was a 16-year-old. It didn't start with me. I ain't the person who started that, right? I ain't the person who put me in that system to put me there to be part of that. But these are our kids. Right, so now you want your kids to be looked at as some animal because he or she's a part of some gang clique crew, or I like to say peer group, right? You know what I'm saying? Because right?
After school program.
That's what it is, though. Based on who you are, when you come up, and you're gonna be part of something, right? But if you look at the dictionary word of gang, it is a group of individuals, is black and brown, right?
Of course.
Group of people who get together to commit criminal acts. Look up their definition of it, and they tagged it to us. So our people hear that automatically. Oh, he and she is a gang member. Oh, be afraid of them. Their life is indifferent. So if something happens to them, we shouldn't care, right? But these are our children. So when you talk about my past, I look at my past as my experience, right? My past is my education. Right? They don't have there's no politician that has the education that I'm bringing to the table right now, which is coming from foster care. I never met my father, right? Went to jail at 16, joined the gang while in jail, went back and forth to prison, came out, changed my life because I did. The system didn't do it, I did it. Put together an organization to help and heal my community and change and help my community. I don't care what they're talking about my past. That's their goal. Look at Malcolm.
Yeah, of course.
As he became who he became, they still killed him. Yeah. When they couldn't find and couldn't vilify his name and tear him down, what they did, they killed him, right? So we gotta expect that. We just gotta keep pushing. They're gonna keep talking about us in the negative. Look at the Daily News. They always talking about me.
That's what I asked. Miss Peggy, I said it right?
No, it's fine. There's a story
Peppy,
behind my name.
sorry, Peppy. No, because I remember you told me the story.
Yeah, there is a story behind my name, so yeah.
Yeah, so I know you from, it's cool. I know you from, you said that you wanted to eventually run for public office as well. So from a female's point of view, and as a black woman, what made you want to join this race or jump into this fight?
I'm just going to piggyback on what he's saying, which is so true.
I don't mean to cut you off. I want to hear you, right? But I like to change things, right? I'm not saying that you eat pork or nothing. Do you?
I mean, yes.
Okay, because you're piggybacking, but I just let you know I veggie back. You know, right? Yeah, I vet you back. So, yeah, you know what I mean? So, if it's something I'm saying, if it's something I'm saying, you just say, hey, like the brother said, I'm going to vet you back off of him. All right,
right. I like the originality of that, which is great. Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And I agree with the people closest to the problems, closest to the solution. And so I've been as a woman and going through trauma, being raised in trauma, and me having that Caribbean background of them not talking to you. I'm not just saying that's in the Caribbean culture. I'm feeling like it's all in black and brown communities that we tend to not, discuss the hurts and what we're going through. We just try to deal with them on our own, and forgetting that we're involved with other people in our lives. And so I feel like my experiences of life has guided me to want to build my own program with the youth. Also, I've worked with all ages and, criminal justice background. I too have a background myself. And as a woman coming home with a felony and having a son already, it's not easy. And then having some sort of experience in the workforce and not being able to find a job, and then coming out here, then there's these programs that they say is available to you, especially in the suburbs, and it's not there, because I wanted it. I went through the motions and of course got here, but I want to be able to provide services for the youth, because us elders, we tend to, it's a little bit different because we tend to be in our ways and we have to want it. I'm just saying, we have to want the change as an adult, but with the youth, it's a little bit different. It's more of having that support and just feeling belonged, not feeling like you're excluded. So my foster home on a promise of greatness is all about modeling that, not just being a foster parent, actually involving the youth, like modeling what being financially literate means. Like nobody teaches you how to manage your money. You know what I'm saying? Like as a youth, me personally, nobody told me how to pay bills. Then it got to a point where it was like, I need to pay bills, really? And I had to learn the hard way, like being behind in things. And it's like, as a mom, it's like, you just learn just as just somebody with a responsibility, and especially when there's children involved, it's like, damn, they didn't ask to be born, and I got to do something, when you care. So that's that's the journey. And then, like I said, having that background and always having to mention it. I happen to work in a criminal justice modality now, and it's like, and I can remember being in front of a judge before getting this job, and then when I got the job, not caring, like, listen, I have to be in it to change it, and then they knowing, because my name is not, it's rare, Peppy, come on. And being able to still be in front of these, judges that know that I had some kind of criminal justice issue in front of them, and still like, listen, that doesn't define who I am. Everyone is entitled to make mistakes and grow from those mistakes. So therefore, I wouldn't
call them mistakes, though. I just would call them choices.
Well, yeah. I agree with that. The choices that I made at the time that got me in front of them, that I'm like, I'm willing to accept and hold myself accountable for that and grow from it and be an example. Like, listen, nobody's perfect. I've been through a lot in life, but yet you could be here and accomplish things as long as you want it. So promise of greatness, it means a lot to me because because there's different levels to it. Because it's like I can remember being,
And one thing you touched on is giving people a second chance, and that's one thing I like about GMACC. Like, majority of the people I've come across that have worked with you or for you, they've did long prison sentences, and we know that coming home from jail is kind of hard to get a job, at least a decent paying job. Like, there's jobs like Target and jobs like Home Depot that hire felons, but to get like a regular more corporate job is difficult to do. So I commend you for doing that. And like you said earlier, it kind of helps the work that you're doing by bringing people in that's familiar with the neighborhood and familiar with certain situations in hood politics.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's a great one to speak to that.
Yeah, so speak on it.
Yeah, so I'm a great example myself. So just to give you a back history of me briefly, I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. I've been a blood since I was 16 years old. I got arrested.
What is your name? Did you tell us your name?
Yes, I did. My name is Malachi.
Okay, Malachi.
Allow him to reintroduce himself.
A lot of my homies know me as Dro, though.
Okay, Dro.
They know me as Dro. But, so I was incarcerated at the age of 20 for a homicide. I ended up copping out to a lesser charge, which was a manslaughter, and got 10 years for that. So I came home at the age of 30 and jumped right into the easiest thing for me, which was construction. You know, normally dudes from prison, they'd go home and do construction.
Yeah, very nice.
I excelled in that to the point I was a 32-hour rigging supervisor. So the pay is good, yeah, it's fun and all that, but it really wasn't really for me. And then I'm watching what my bro was doing every day on social media with GMACC. I wasn't with GMACC at the time. So I'm just watching, I'm like, oh, secretly, I'm like, oh, alright, I see what's happening, I'm feeling what my bro doing. I was still just trying to find my lane, and then gradually one day we had a conversation. I was like, nah, yo, bro, I'm ready. Like, yeah, I'm ready, let's do it, I want to help you, you know what I'm saying? Then I made my decision from there. I started out as an outreach worker. I started as an outreach worker, learned
What the outreach worker do though? You don't know what the outreach worker do.
Yeah, I'm about to break it down to him. So as an outreach worker, I had a caseload of 15 participants. These 15 men or young males or females that I had to deal with daily, whether it be any and everything, just to help them be successful in their lives. So they'll give me ideas that they might have. I create a risk reduction plan and just have a list of goals and help them achieve them day by day, step by step. I done did home visits, popped up at schools, all types of things. Sometimes, unfortunately, some of them got arrested. I done went to court with program managers, other outreach workers, violence interrupters to show support. So it's a lot that entails with every job description in this field, but that's what I started with. Then gradually I became the chief of the streets of GMACC. Okay. And with that title now, I'm what I would call the liaison between community organizations, the local police departments, city officials, elected officials, things of that nature. I engage with them as well.
Oh, so you moved up in the company. That's good.
Yeah, I'm serious about it. I'm serious about it.
That's good, man. I commend you on that. And how has it changed your life personally? Because you said that you was doing construction and the pay was good, but I'm guessing you didn't feel like it was fulfilling. This one is more fulfilling to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because alright, so I'm putting up high-rise buildings, right? So picture, I'm putting up a 46-something floor building, all these apartments starting off 2,500, something like that. But I can't move into nothing. I don't even qualify.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for me, nobody would be in this building.
Fact.
So it's like, hold on, after watching so many buildings going up in Brooklyn, it's like, nah, I don't even feel good about this no more. The performance is talking crazy to me because they know I got a felony. If I react the way I really want to, the first thing they threaten me is with police. So it's like, nah, I feel oppressed working with y'all, or for y'all rather. So I'd rather work for my community, work for my people.
I got a question.
Yeah, let's turn to the youth.
How do you guys utilize your past experiences and then make them as skills in your current workspace or environments that you guys are in? And how do you guys like make that into some sort of success? How
can I say this? When you go to, you went to school. You in school?
I graduated. Yeah.
Where you graduated from?
Binghamton.
Binghamton?
Yeah.
Right? You went to Binghamton?
Yes, sir.
I was up in Binghamton selling drugs before.
At least he's honest.
That was back there, live, bro. You know what I'm saying? I've been home since 2008. I did jaywalk. I do jaywalk. But so I was asked that because you went to school. What did you go there for?
I went there for financial econ.
All right. And you spent how many years in school?
About like 5.
Right. And you had to read a lot of stuff, right?
More than that.
Yeah, a lot of reading and studying, right?
More than that.
Well, I had to walk through all of that in life, right? All that experience right there is the same difference to me. That's why I said earlier about education. Is how you use your experiences. That's why I even corrected, or not to my term to say I believe I like to use not mistake but choices, right? Because I came up around people who grew up with me in the same neighborhood, and I watched them. Like I talk about my man Jamel all the time. He in Atlanta throwing up all types of assault rifles on and stuff on his page, and it's illegal. I'm like, oh man, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? But just to protect his family, not to have it to harm nobody. But right. But I'm just saying we came up together. But there's some rights that you still have that I lost because of the choices I made. Right. So I take all my experiences and we use it as a skill and a tool. When you come to us with a scenario, we're trained also on a lot of different trainings. We can talk about that on a whole nother level. But having those trainings help us utilize who we are and what we've been through, right? Those experiences. So when you come to me about something, if I don't have the expertise in it, I have people around me I'm going to refer you to. I'm not going to try to tell you I can help with everything. But if I understand it, especially coming from the streets, right? When you're talking about gangs in jail, police action, whatever it is, I've experienced it. So now, let me tell you how I've overcome all of that. Let me give you an example of how I can show you an option away from what people are used to. You gotta remember, a lot of our young people, and even older people, feel they don't have no options, right? So we gotta give people more options, which is why I'm running for office. Options for something different.
Let me add on to that, right? So, as I spoke on earlier when I mentioned being a blood, to answer your question, it's the same difference of me now. I'm a certified gang specialist. So at one point, people would tell me, "Oh, don't say that you represent this, or don't associate yourself with that, because what? Fear of the criminal attachment to it." Yeah. So now, when I say, "Okay, if I say right now, yo, I denounce everything, I'm done, I'm retired," according to the DOC, Rikers Island, the state penitentiary, I am. That's what's in their book. So I had to say, okay, how do I strengthen myself around that? That's something that's trying to be a challenge for me. So I said, okay, I'm going to become a certified gang specialist because I've come from that. Nobody else can tell me I'm not certified, I'm not educated enough to be a specialist in this. I was an active participant. You know what I'm saying?
He's a specialist.
You know what I'm saying?
Go do this.
Certified gangster.
When you get that call, you already know who hotline is.
Let me just answer that question now with me.
Without it.
With me, definitely every day. Every day, starting with my children personally, right? It's real life in my home. So it's like, allowing them to be involved. And again, that's why I'm trying to build this foster home model. Is the housing that I'm working on getting right now, is to be able to model that, because we're saying to people, change to what? You're saying to the youth, look, there's something different. What's that different? What's that something different? You know what I mean? So being able to give them those options,
that's right,
of something different. So being able to, model, that different, doing this at the dinner table. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's healthy. Right. Healthy and perfect, which I believe is not necessarily doing the right thing. It's negative also. It's dealing through the solutions, how you work through your problems, finding solutions, modeling, not just dwelling in the problem, right? Modeling, finding solutions, and it doesn't mean that road is going to be that straight road or that tunnel vision of this is how it's going to, I'm going to, accomplish or fix this problem. No, understanding there's obstacles that's going to stand in the way of maybe your first thought of solution, and being able to be a chameleon, adjusting, changing, flexing, having that dialogue, saying, you know what, I thought that this was going to work for me, you know what I mean, but it's not working. Something is I'm stuck here, and articulating that and being able to say I'm stuck and I don't know how to move forward and I need some help. You know what I mean? So that's, with my experience, that's what I'm gonna bring, and that's what I'm bringing to the table every day. Modeling the different options that the youth can take. Asking questions, because I'm a mom, and my kids can't tell, but they can ask me questions to make me stop and think. Wait a minute. Even though I admit it to because I'm different. But there are some parents or some adults that may not admit. Like my mom's not gonna admit that I'm right all the time with something, with the questions that I ask her, You know what I mean? But being that I'm not telling her what to do, asking those questions stops that person to think, wait a minute, why are they even asking me that question? Like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, they might catch an attitude because we get defensive, you know, when things sting. You know, so I want to continue.
I got 22-year-olds,
right?
So I know
being able to do this. Yeah, I have a 21-year-old. Yeah, I do. I have a 21-year-old. I have different 12 and a 7-year-old. So I'm different age stage, and you know what I mean. So I'm very serious about modeling the different, and it's different too. The different ages bring different things in the youth. The different ages is different stages. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So my 21-year-old is bringing something different to me. My 12-year-old and the gender is also different. Yeah. You know, so it's exactly. So being able to individualize everything that I'm modeling based on the person that's in front of me.
Very important.
Yeah. I can speak from my experience. I've been a youth leader and a youth minister in the church since 2015. At our height, we probably had 45 or 50 youth from the age of, I would say the youngest maybe 13, the most oldest maybe 28 maybe. Mm-hmm. That's before Corona. You know, Corona kicked us bad. But my experience is, that's where I get the motivation for our logo, the one behind you guys with the two hands, because I feel like it is the two hands that come together that uplifts everyone, because you need the corporate hand and you need like the street aspect, especially amongst our people, because that's what they see, that's what they respect, you know, like their heroes, the neighborhood heroes, usually the neighborhood dope dealer, you know, like he's the one with the money, with the most influence, with the most power. It's not until we reach a level of consciousness like how you guys have reached, where you like, okay, we need the business part, we need the political power, we need to bring those two together. Mm-hmm. And it's like we have to uplift ourselves in order to uplift our people. Right. Because if we're still at a low point or a low vibration or a low form of thinking, how can we be able to provide anyone else with light if we don't have it? So like I usually use my life, like I use my time, like my experiences, even the consequences that I faced in my youth that I had to deal with, the things I had to overcome in order to get to where I'm at. You know, and this was something me and my boy was talking about like the other day, because my boy, like, he African, and you know, for those that know, yeah, they the original plug when it comes to, you know? so we was talking, and then he was like, yo, he was basically saying that this new generation, the biggest difference between the new generation, our generation, we went to school and we still did our dirt. Like, I understand you was in Binghamton and you went to Binghamton, but imagine someone that's going there and doing both, like able to go to school and do things and pass. Like,
and who's that do that?
To people that I grew up with, it's me. You know, like, you know.
That's true though.
Right.
No, that's true. That's I get that. Yeah,
I'm just saying. I have a son in that generation. He's 21. He's in school and he does his. And because I only know because he's honest with me.
Don't do that.
No. I'm just saying as far as trying, you know, like just.
That's when my outreach work is right there. I was just saying somebody immediately.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. You know, because it's always trying to find a way to get ahead.
Yeah, and
that's true.
But it's the fact that I did educate myself, because not a lot of people I know that I grew up with own businesses, but the fact that I was able to open up a business, other people around me open up a business. Just like when I got a chain, everybody around me got a chain, you know? Right. You could influence them for good or you can influence them for evil. Right. And because we have the power of both within us. It's the yin yang, you know, the Asians, they understand that aspect. And I think we should understand that aspect.
And that's that modeling. You don't even realize you're modeling behavior, right? Because you're saying that you're modeling these things, like you got the chain, they followed you, or you got this, you did the business, and so we model, and then you around your surrounding, like you attract that same energy of those that want it.
Yeah, but I think the best thing to do is being a living example, because especially with the young people nowadays, they like to see it. Like, you could talk all you want, but talk is cheap, like, you know, because
that's a fact.
That's like church, right? You go every week and you watch a pastor and minister, he's just talking on the pulpit, he's talking, but then, you know, he hops in his car, you go home, you don't see nothing that he's doing in the community. He's not touching the people, he's not helping the people. He just come to church, pick up a bag, go home. we didn't want to be that kind of ministry. We wanted to be boots on the ground, and that's how we was able to link up with so much people, because we really in the community. Like, we've done things in the South Bronx, East New York, Brownsville, Wells, Southside Jamaica, Queens, you know, and we go to these different places and like, yo, what your guys is doing? And I'm like, yo, these are the people that need help. Like, we're not gonna go to like Fifth Ave and give out stuff. Like, we go to different places. Oh yeah, we went to
that was
what 100 and
125th.
Yeah, 125th and Broadway, like where all the K2 people are. Yeah. During the pandemic, we fed over 400 people during the global pandemic when nobody wanted to leave their house. Like, we was getting, and it was youth that came out. No old heads. The only old heads we had was driving the bus. And it was one elder from the church that came. And we had what, like 25, 30 youth that day.
Yeah.
And that
like 30, honestly.
Yeah, we had 2 vans. We had 2 vans, like 3 private cars. So the youth are willing. They just need someone to direct them into the right direction. It's like what you said, like about the gang thing. It was like an after school club. Like, you had nothing to do after school, so that's what you did.
Who said that?
Recreational activity.
No, I ain't say that either. I did that in jail. I ain't do that because I did that because my story is different. When I hit Rikers at 16, I was attacked by correction officers because I was just a rough young kid.
Okay.
So they hit me. I hit them back. They beat me up. Right, that's my experience into Rikers. Then you had the Latin gangs, Latin Kings and Nietas, who was oppressing blacks, and they tried to rob me, and they jumped me like 3 times because I wouldn't let them rob me for my clothes. And then when they jumped me 3 times, I got somebody to give me a razor, and I cut like 3 of them. To tell you facts, the stories. Read my book, 2-Way Mirrors, on Amazon right now. Trap Gangster versus Shanduke McPhatter. You know what I'm saying? I don't talk about, and I got some in the car if you need it, right? But 2-Way Mirrors, I talk about my past. Like, people need to understand I'm running for office. I ain't never run from who I am. But when that happened and they attacked me, and I went and did what I did, I went to the box with the special housing unit, which is something in solitary confinement, which we've been fighting for years for them to stop because it's excessive. And I was approached and they told me about Bloods. They was like, Blood stand for brotherly love overrides oppression and destruction. That's what was introduced to me at 16, to fight against something happening to black people. You understand what I'm saying? So my fight always been different. I ain't never been, oh, I'm going to go get a gun and kill and shoot people. That's not how it was introduced to me. So that's another method that I know I utilize when I'm talking to ministries, because if you talk about Bloods and Crips and folks, we can tell none of them come from murder, death, kill. That's not what it's about. It's about community development. So y'all need to represent what you say you represent when you out here shooting and killing and beefing with each other. Mm-hmm. So that's where I come from with that, right? But I might have recreation after I became it, but
alright, so it came afterwards. Yeah. My fault. Speaking of that, Larry Hoover, the old man, he was trying to change what?
Yeah, he's still trying to change.
He was basically trying to fix like what GD stands for. Like, he was trying to switch it to something else. Yeah,
growth and development.
Yeah, growth and development, exactly. Do me a favor, just fix that up real quick, because it's falling down. Just use the thumbtack and click it back. But yeah, he was basically trying to focus and try to help people to like do different things and to be better within the community. And one of the young rappers, G Herbo, he basically said that no one is really gonna listen to what he has to say because the older people and the younger people are not really connecting, because the younger people, they're dealing with the things that the old people set up in a certain way, but by the time it came to the hands of the young people, most of the old people was locked up, and so the young people had to fend for themselves, and it was just chaos. So like now they're dealing with it.
And that's over there you're talking about
in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah, that's a valid point, because it's not just with Larry Hoover. You had the GDs, the BDs. You can go on to a lot. The vice lords. You had so much in Chicago that attributed to a lot of those issues out there. And yeah, Larry Hoover has a major part in it. And the pieces has to be the people who are inside the prison and who are out in the streets, right? Because you have people who are not the elders, but are in the middle that have to play their part in that conversation. But the young people don't got the information they need. You understand what I'm saying? It's the same thing that we see in New York City. I see Blood's beefing with blood sets.
Yo, bro.
He know that's what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? And it don't make no sense if you understand what you come from, right? How did you get there? Because somebody miseducated you, and guess who miseducated you? A black man who told you that this is something that he wants you to do for his own good, right? It wasn't about the betterment of you. He did it because he wanted you to do what he needed you to do. So it's about that, being able to identify if you represent something, who gave you the wrong information, right? Because if you look at any of that from Chicago, New York, anywhere, LA, it was never, we're going to come together and we're just going to create a group that's going to just go out there and kill everybody. You might have a little bit of that in Brooklyn, but you didn't have that when those major gangs were set, right? When I say Brooklyn, because you got people who may just come up on the corner, they just, that's their clique, because they got beef, and now that's it, we just kill everybody, right? Those are the ones that are different because there's no structure, there's no historical reason, right? And that's the problem there, right? You just living life to die tomorrow. So we gotta look at it differently and how we address those conflicts that come from gang and how our young people are dealing with the missing piece that's in between.
So let me ask the youth on this side this question, because I was watching this video where this guy, I think his name is Charleston White, he basically said that the way that the black leaders were able to bring blacks together back in the days and bring them and unify them back then, they're not able to do it now. Do you guys think that's true, and why? What's the difference in the generation? The way, you see how Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and everybody was able to bring large groups of colored people together for one cause, like how they was able to boycott the bus for a whole year. Like you can't get Negroes to not ride the bus or Uber for one day right now. So why do you guys think it's like that now?
I feel both ways. Okay. Originally, I want to say the cause back then, right? The bigger cause and how I guess our mindset was at that point, at that period of time. I guess we saw the overall enemy and what that was, and that's kind of what unified everyone. I feel right now because of how social media is really taking out like a lot. Well, it's actually not. It's more projecting a lot of individuality amongst people. I feel like now people are like they're looking up their own information. We have the internet, so everyone is like, oh, I'm just gonna Google it on my phone to see who's really right, who's really wrong. So in terms of if I'm gonna get you to stop doing whatever you're doing, I either A, have to make this a trend. So it's definitely possible. We can definitely boycott things if we made it a trend to do so. But there's a lot of other people out here now that are, because we are so unique now, we have a lot of individuality, people are going to just come up with their own things. So they're going to do whatever they want to do. So I feel like it's both ways. It depends on who's really coming out, and one is the leader.
You hear what he said? That's extremely deep. People may not have paid attention if they're listening. If you listen to what he said, and these ears are important, right? Because what he said is exactly what the problem is, right? To exactly what you said. When you look at the internet, you look at the young people, right? And I'm going exactly what you spoke on. So he comes out, he says, yo, I'm gonna start this movement, and this is what we're gonna do together, y'all. And then people come out with him. And somebody gonna be like, you know, I can get these same followers and support on Instagram myself. Like, I'm not doing this. Come on, y'all, we're gonna go over here and do our own thing. And he was, give me some, the Mike Jones crew. We're gonna be the Jones Micahs. You see what I'm saying? Just flipping things around to do the same thing because they want their own individuality, and so we continue to be separated because nobody want to follow the right thing, right? Or they may feel this, I don't like how you made this decision, so I don't want to go with that no more. I'm gonna start my own way. Now we divided, and then that then creates conflict.
Can I be honest though? I feel like this is also stemmed from a lot of other things. So I wanted to ask you guys a question because I feel like, you know, because we're speaking about older generations and younger generations, how do we acknowledge
these young cats is blocked?
How do we acknowledge mental health issues between older heads and younger heads, and how do we properly exercise the better techniques to, one, speak about them, and to convince the youth that we're actually being listened to? Because I know there's often problems, speaking with like older heads, you can't really express yourself the way you want to because of, like you said, everybody's kind of stuck in their own way. I have brothers around your ages, right? So like I have a brother that's in his 40s, but my parents are also in their 60s and 70s. Okay. So I have older heads that I'm often dealing with, and the way in which they approach me and I guess, express the way how they feel, right? How do we properly acknowledge the certain mental health issues that we might have had, either older head or younger head, and how do we properly move on from that?
So I focus on mental health in different ways, right? Everybody don't have the same type of mental health issue,
right?
And being able to assess the difference in mental health needs, right, is the only way that's going to happen. Because every need deserves a certain type of solution to it. When you're dealing with older people, but I'm just going to and this is a tool I just use in general, right? When you're dealing with that, just give somebody that opportunity, right? Especially an older person, right? That's stubborn like that. Just let them talk, right? Just let them get it all out, right? And then after they do all of that, right, and just be sure that you heard them, right? All right. You sure you good? I want you to practice me. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? You sure you good? All right. Because I'm trying to communicate with you. I heard you. Good. All right. Now, I'm gonna give you time to somebody. That was 3 minutes. I need that same 3 for you to hear me, right? And if that person isn't listening to you, don't continue to waste your time trying to communicate with that type of a person, right? Because we're not gonna get through everybody, right? And that's what we're always trying to. Sometimes somebody don't want you to get through to them. They keep those barriers up, and you're gonna, you know. And so I test people to see where they at. Meaning, if I communicate, where's this person at to determine. And I tell the person, you need some assistance, right? I seek assistance myself. I've been through it. I go through here. I'm in a healing group now myself, right? It's called Man Heal Thyself with my brother Supernova Slum and Queen of Four. That's current. I've been through other mental health therapy for myself. I've been traumatized. I've been through in prison. You gotta accept it. We all been through some type of trauma. You have to acknowledge what that is and what you need to deal with that, right? So
how do we do it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what we do is we have to, like I said, I'm giving you a method to start for yourself, so that it doesn't be something that you continue to deal with. And two, we got to get everybody in the conversation on looking at it from all sides and come up with this is how. People don't use the Benjamin Franklin solution of pros and cons, right? And looking at all these solutions and saying, okay, these problems rather, and saying, all right, as a young person, an older person, these are the mental health issues. These are what we see. This is what you see. How do we create something together, and then how do we move that forward to make that reality, right? Because we have to create the same thing. Everything we create. If you see a problem, be part of the solution.
It goes back. It's going to bring me back to why I want to build Promise of Greatness, right? It's modeling, and I do this right now with my own family, and even with, and again, I'm a Caribbean descent, very stubborn, Haiti. So I have a stubborn father. You know, he's stuck in his ways. He's thinking, again, we you know, it's more of asking questions. Right, and modeling. I still got to do what I got to do because not everybody's ready to change. And it doesn't mean that he's even going to recognize at 84 years old that anything is wrong, because he's been living like this for so long. Right, that's how come, like with the elders, and I'm just fortunate that I know that I'm a work in progress every day at my age. You understand what I'm saying? So I want to continue to work and be open to deal with everyone as individuals, right? So I have a family, right? I have 3 children. Each of those are different individuals. I do not deal with them the same. Yes, the message is the same, but the way it's delivered is different for every one of them. Even my mother, right? I mean, my father, because again, I'm coming from trauma, and to this day, they won't hold themselves accountable on how they played a part or a role in the trauma that I've experienced, right?
That's deep.
Right? So they're not going to, and I'm okay. I mean, but what I'm saying is sometimes people don't even acknowledge.
Especially if you're the parent, like, come on.
Right.
Where you think I came from?
Right, exactly. And to this day, I'm telling you right now, like my parents will not say. I mean, like my father tried, but you know, like I'm just saying. And that's why I said that, and that's why I'm saying that, and that's why I'm saying that. How my father tried, but my mother will not. She'll always brush by it. Right, she won't.
Like Jada.
Right, you know what I mean. So I deal with her differently. And with my father, it's like I deal with him. Now with me in my personal life, I take all those things how I grew up because it didn't work. You know what I mean? I'm totally open with my children, and I model and I allow them to make decisions. Right? I may say, listen, I'm just saying this is not going to work. This is why. This is just my opinion, and I let them rock out. Right? But I'm guiding them through the trial and error. Right? So it's like I'm not going to stop them because they have to see for themselves like I did. You know what I mean? So if they make the decision and say, you know what, I'm going to take mommy's advice and I'm just going to leave that alone, then okay. You know what I'm saying? That's one kid. But then I have another kid that's like, nah, what? I don't try to act like they don't understand. Right? They might, whether they heard me or not, and still go out there and do that. Then that means that they, when they come back, whenever they do, we have that conversation like, yeah. So everyone, so that's why Promise of Greatness means so much to me, modeling, because my experiences is my experiences, and I know that not everybody's going to change the same way or the same time or if even ever. Okay? Because some people may not ever right? Just stuck at it, and I just know how to deal with you.
I got a question too, but that's the same thing. Remember, some people never change, so you can't have conversations with someone who's never going to change how they think. But let me ask you a question. So do you feel that the older generation don't understand you and don't know what you're going through?
I want to say that. However, I feel like because you guys, let me not say you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I feel like older heads.
It don't matter what you talk about. I'll let you know when I'm you guys. Other than that, I'm not in that. That's not my category.
I do feel like the older generation because they were spoken to.
I'm sorry, correct me your age again?
Yeah, I'm 23 years of age.
Yes.
I feel like because of the older generation, how they were spoken to in a way. Again, mental health was not something spoken about at all.
How were they spoken to, brother?
Probably not without a word. We probably weren't spoken to at all. Is what I'm saying.
Right, that's like I used my own personal. My family never spoke to me.
That's a fact.
So I guess what I mean is that let's say you felt something, right? So my parents are Guyanese, right? And I know how Caribbean parents move. You don't really have feelings, right? so like whatever you feel, you kind of have to like put that under. But regardless of how you feel, right? Now let's say you're a black man and you're going through that same exact position. I guarantee you were never allowed to talk about your feelings when you were 16, 17, 18 years of age.
Okay.
Why do people think that's okay?
I got you. So I have a question. You be around a lot of older Caribbean men?
Yeah.
All right. Just think about what you just said.
I know exactly.
All of that fits into the same thing, brother, right?
Right.
Because I'm key in listening. From Guyana,
right.
You're not allowed to have feelings, right? All right. So you're saying that's your experience, right? Correct?
Well, that's my experience.
As a young person growing up from Guyana.
No, I'm saying my parents being in that position, I know that they weren't given that platform to do that.
All right, so I'm saying, is that your experience though?
I fought against that. Is what I'm saying.
Did you fight? You had to fight the experience to fight against it.
No. It was my experience. No.
I'm saying I need yes or no. Was that your experience?
No.
Is that your experience? Or
I want to be specific about the experience, though, right? I don't think it's to the same degree.
I'm not saying to the degree. Did you have an experience of?
I'm answering that. I promise you, right? So I did have the same experience, right? What I'm saying, I don't want to say the exact word the same because the same means that it's identical.
Similar,
right? I don't even want to say similar because I know it's not.
Okay,
right? However, I do want to say
you've experienced.
I definitely experienced to some degree of having to more push certain things under the rug because of that background is what I'm saying.
And that to me, when I listen to that, it's the same difference of you asking the question earlier about being able to communicate with the older generation.
All right, my question was.
You follow me?
No, but my question actually was.
I'm just saying in general. It's not about. It's pointing out generational trauma, bro. That's what I want you to see, right? Because what the communication that you're trying to have right now, when you ask about how do we communicate the mental health issues and such, When you just explain what you came up under, even if it's a little bit experience of it, there's someone who had a lot of experience of it, right? So now you may be dealing with an older Caribbean brother who've had a lifetime of experience of, you don't got no feeling, little man. I'm the elder. I ain't had no feeling. You don't got no feeling right now, and I only know how to act like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we gotta be mindful of those things when we're dealing with people that a lot of that is generational.
If you don't mind, because I can use my life as an experience. I mean, too. So, Caribbean descent. My mom, dad, whatever, exposed me. They were separated. My mom made a decision that exposed me to trauma, right? Happened to me. My sister's exposed to it, right? So when it all came out, right? We have my mother and my father, who now have to figure out how to deal with what's going on, right? And they have this Caribbean background. Nobody talked to them. They don't know nothing about talking. They don't know nothing about talking. All they know is dealing with shit that they still have to work. They gotta they gotta pay bills. That's all they focused on. But there's a situation that's happening, right? And there's children involved, right? So now they're not talking. I mean, they're just living their lives. Now these kids are going through what they're going through. Me and my sisters, right? So now I'm exposed to the not communicating because that's all they know. That's all they know, right? So now I'm at an age where I have a son now, right? Because he's my first. He's 20. He's about to be 22. He was exposed to me trying to figure out how to break that cycle of not being talked to, going through the trauma, and trying to figure out how I'm going to fix this, right? And he's in my life. He's being exposed. Whether I wanted to see it at the time or not, he was exposed to every decision I made, whether I spoke about it or not. But I was behaving on the way that I was raised because that's all I knew. But in the process, I'm trying to break the cycle, right? So, of course, trial and error, you know, however. So, you know, as time goes on, I'm here now. So I'm different as far as modeling the dialogue because I do it with my mom and my dad right now, right? Even though they may not see it, right? I force them to, because sometimes, like, my father's so stubborn, like right now, it's like, listen, I can't deal with you right now, right? No, I love you and everything. That's fine. But right now, right, you're right here. Okay? I'm going to make sure you're okay from afar right now. Right? Because I still have to I have to be sane. I have to be okay for me to still take care and do all the things that I want to do to continue to break my generational curse. Right? My mother is different. She's a little bit more open. She's a little bit more educated than my father. Because there's a lack of education as well. Okay? With my parents. Right? My mom reads more than my father does and whatnot. That also plays a part in the way that, you know, they are right now to this day. My father's stubborn still because he's a little less educated. My mother's a little bit more open. She's a little bit more educated. So where our relationship is different, right? That I can model listen, Mom, back then I get that you weren't talking or whatever, but it doesn't work. And I guide her with my two younger sisters, right? Even though they're adults, I still guide her with, and she's still in her grandchildren's lives. Okay, you're exposed to the grandchildren. So what I'm saying is, it's up to us now, right? That those that recognize, I happen to recognize that way didn't work, and I can't change my parents, but I can model things.
One thing I could say, since I'm kind of in between the two generations, right. Literally at 30 something, what I can say is, like, based on my experience, like, I grew up in a Haitian household. Like, I was first generation, as in, like, I came to America at the age of 2. So, like, you know, I dealt with all of that. I dealt with poverty, you know, growing up on public assistance and everything. So my parents was kind of rough on us growing up. One thing I can say is, I know where you coming from, where it's like their word is law. And it took me actually being in a car accident. Because, again, me and my friend, who was also Haitian, who was also dealing with issues from his parents that was causing him emotional trauma, he tried to take his life with me in the car as a passenger. You know, I messed up myself bad. I was in physical therapy for a whole year and I had to go to mental therapy, and I got PTSD from there. Till this day, I can't really drive in the passenger seat with other people because they do something crazy. I'm like, oh, he's trying to kill me too. Like, you know? So
it's a trauma.
So when I went to mental therapy, like that was my introduction to mental therapy ever in my life. And she gave me a book, Repairing Your Inner Child. And it's like, that inner child is that innocence that we was all born with. Like, you know, even watching my daughter, her innocence, she's happy when I just spend the day with her, just in the house playing games with her and stuff like that, playing tag and stuff like that. And it's like, a lot of us allowed life to kill that child that was within us. And we manifested in different ways throughout our lives. And education comes in because a lot of us don't know how to speak on it. The scientific word is diagnose, to diagnose it, like what exactly is wrong with you. And even going through my studies and going to school and learning these things, not everybody's going to understand the DSM-5. The DSM-5 is the book that they use to diagnose mental illnesses and stuff, and it changes all the time, like the names of the sicknesses and stuff like that. Like bipolar is no longer one disease on its own. It's schizophrenia, bipolarism, and so like they changed the whole thing. So imagine if you got a scientific understanding and you still don't fully understanding, imagine a regular person. So our parents wasn't really equipped for it, and a lot of them dealt with trauma, and people before them dealt with trauma, and they just did it to us. Like I did it, I had to deal with it, so you deal with it. So that's why you hear like parents that got abused and molested, their children end up getting abused and molested, and it keeps going on and on and on and on. But we can break the cycle. We can. So to close out, since you're trying to break the cycle by running for office, tell them one time why they should.
My goal is to break the cycle. I'm breaking the cycle with GMACC right now, and tonight. It's November 1st. I knew that. To see that tomorrow's election day. I'm tired, my guys. We still got stuff to do, but we're tired. We working. We've been up early. I'm trying to tell you, hitting the pavement all over. Running down on angry New Yorkers, angry Brooklyn people. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, vote for me, angry Brooklyn person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Why am I voting for you? Who are you? What are you gonna do? I understand your pain. Trust me. That's why I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? But look out for me, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing in my community. It's not about an elected seat. It's about who I am and what I'm doing for my people. But if you really want to be part of historical change and vote for somebody who's going to do what he says he's going to do, tomorrow go to the polls, call your family, tell them don't just go check the boxes, go write down Democrats and just say I voted. You're going to keep hurting us. Go vote for an independent candidate, me, Shanduke, McPhatter. On the independent line, look for my name, McPhatter, and vote for me for Brooklyn Borough President. I'm going to continue the work that I'm doing in Brooklyn on a different level and bring more people to the table to be part of change. If you want your vote to matter, vote McPhatter.
You guys heard it here. If you want your vote to matter, vote McPhatter.
That's right. So
I don't know if you guys have any closing thoughts before we close out.
No, the only thing I want to say is listen out for Promise of Greatness.
Right, you listen out for that. And if she didn't tell you, I'm gonna tell you. If you want your vote to matter, vote McPhatter. You gotta give them that slogan. Remember, if you ain't got the card and you walk into the poll booth and you like, what's that great gentleman name? The phenomenal brother. The guy that we gotta make, vote matter. They call me Vote Matter McPhatter. You know what I'm saying? That's it. All right. But I'm serious. You know. And you see the smile and the jokes. That's actually kind of to some of what you just said, right? You said, they try to bring our inner child. I don't let them do that. I laugh and joke and have fun all day. We do it all. We do it all the time, right? That's our inner happiness, our inner child. Of course. Don't let nobody take that from you, right? Right. So it's okay to laugh and joke, just to be a clown. You know what I'm saying? Don't be vulgar. That's it. You know what I mean? But I like to always keep. They say it takes less muscles to smile, right? We're too angry and I want to heal. Right, my mission is
Real
healing.
time, professional.
Yeah, we ain't gotta. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But we can be professional and happy, but we can be in the field and see somebody that we never know and just give them a happy hello. You know what I'm saying? Just for the day. Yo, hey, how you doing? Have a good day. Who are you? Don't worry about it. Just have a good day. You know what I'm saying? All right, peace and blessings. I appreciate the opportunity. All right, push everybody to the polls. Tomorrow is important. Not just my election. You have a new mayor coming in, new city council members, new controller. Be part of that conversation. They telling you your vote don't matter. I'm telling you they would have never took it from us back in the days if it didn't matter to our people. Is that not a fact?
Facts. Brother Joe?
You said it all.
You have any closing thoughts or you go?
There's always be willing to learn. Always learn new things. Because I'm here. I'm glad I'm here today.
Facts. So I thank all my guests for coming out today. I think everybody that was actually watching us live. We think our live studio audience in the building today, of course. And shout out to everybody that's
1,000 people in here.
so shout out to everybody that's been supporting. Shout out to everybody that has helped us to get this far so far. We usually close out with a prayer. So any of you guys want to close out with a prayer?
Should I just close out with the opening? It's always the opening, and it's actually the universal opening, closing. And I'm a Islamic Sunni Muslim, right? I practice Islam for those who understand. So I close out with the Al-Fatiha in Arabic. And A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amen. If you don't know what I said, I always want people, I could say it in English, but I always tell people, just like you Google everything else, Google that.
Yeah. Or you could check out the Kevin Gates song. He got the song doing the prayer too.
Yeah, he do. That's a good brother. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's been my favorite. It's Drake or something like that. Yeah, he did the
Yeah, he do.
My songs. Yeah.
So shout out to everybody that's been watching. Shout out to everybody from all walks of life and all races and religions. We all love you all. So God bless and good night.
It's the real word.